All right, and we are back here on another Wednesday night under the lights edition here on Couch Coach Live, episode 338. As we get ready for the NFL draft, we are less than 48 hours away from the start of the we call it the greatest spring spectacle there is, the NFL draft. We got a special guest in the building. We have our guys Cory and Austin from the Shovick Sports Shite podcast. We kind of keep it PG. We're kind of somewhat of a family show, but we'll keep it that way.
Sir.
And what's going on, Cory and Austin? How y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. Hey, thank you guys, both of you guys, for having us on here. It's really awesome to be able to join another show.
Yeah, we appreciate
Cool.
it. Always enjoy talking sports with everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Can I jump in real quick? Oh, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Same old, getting through the rows. I see, we're on off day. So you was like, I'm going to throw the format for the draft. So I'm sitting here, don't know hardly what I need to look up for, but you always put a good format together. So I'm excited that we have guests. Can I ask you guys a question? How long have you had your show?
Yeah, no, good question. This is actually, we're going on a little over a year now.
Okay,
kind of
cool.
dabbled into different kind of topics, mostly football, but we'll talk, baseball, basketball, college basketball, college football, just a little wide variety.
Okay, that's cool. That's great. How long have y'all always wanted to be talking sports, or did you have something else you was into?
Yeah, so I started out, I've coached high school baseball for a few years. I thought I was going to go the teaching, the typical PE teacher coach route. Then I kind of had some change of plans. Now I do work in youth sports. Broadcasting was never really kind of the thing, but we started getting into more sports podcasts and listening to other people just talk about sports, and we were like, that's kind of the life right there. Be able to talk sports. Sports brings everyone together, and then we bought this equipment, and then we've kind of taken off, and it's really fun, and you just get to talk about stuff that you love doing. So that's kind of how we got going.
Yeah, I mean, we're brothers, so the one thing that has always, even though we like rival teams, the one thing that we've always got along with is sports. And I'm a talker, so like I would talk sports anyway. And then, just getting older, listening to sports, you want to take everything in. And then, we started seeing some podcasts, and it's like, we like sports. We talk sports anyway. Why not just do it with an audience now? That's 99% of our conversations. So let's turn it into something and see what we got. So started the journey, and here we are.
Man, congratulations. That's what's up. Thank you.
And we got a great show lined up for you tonight. So we'll preview the NFL draft. We'll pretty much, not like our typical years where we done mock drafts. We're going to kind of spice it up a little bit this year. We'll just talk about like who needs to nail the draft as far as team wise. We'll discuss that. Our favorite prospects to watch, dark horse guys that you may get drafted late Thursday night, maybe during the course of the weekend. We'll talk about those. Our non-quarterback dark horses, best spots for Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. And then we will be the GMs of our favorite teams. So we will we'll have Cory drafted for the Denver Broncos. Mal, you'll be drafted for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll be for the Commanders, and then Austin to go round us out with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we got a great show lined up for you guys, and we're gonna kick that intro, and we'll be right back here on Couch Coach Live.
Both of them.
difficulties, but we're back here. So, as we talked about it in the intro, we'll talk about the NFL draft. A few topics tonight as we preview the upcoming draft on Thursday night. So, I'm gonna go around the horn, fellas. The first topic that I want to discuss on which team do you think needs to nail this draft? Need to have like pretty much an A grade, knock it out the park type of draft. I'm gonna go with you first, Cory. What are your thoughts? Which team needs to nail the draft?
Yeah, so I had it narrowed down to two, right, between the Raiders and the Giants, but I'm going to go with the Giants. I look at the Giants as you have a GM and a head coach who have already caught a lot of heat last year with how they handled the Saquon Barkley deal, right? They move on, they stick with Daniel Jones. That obviously turned into a nightmare situation for them. Now you're sitting with a top 5 pick in a pretty good spot to be able to get a franchise player, and you look at the offensive side of the ball, you're really only a couple pieces away from being able to make some noise. So they really, Dayball and Schoen need to have a knockout of the park, basically, to be able to keep their jobs, right? So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards, is the Giants need to be able to nail this draft down.
And what about you, Austin? Who you think should nail this draft?
Yeah, I had it down to 2 teams as well, the Bears and Steelers, but I think I'm gonna stick with the Bears. They kind of, so far, they're the off-season champs, right? They got a lot of hype rolling in. Year 2 of Caleb Williams, you get your guy Ben Johnson. You kind of go sure up that offensive line. You got to nail this draft to kind of put you over that hump and kind of keep that hype train rolling. I don't think they are expecting to have many more top 10 picks for the next, decade plus, just given everything that they've done. So I think they really need to knock this out of the park to really just jumpstart, maybe not jumpstart, but kind of move that hype train along just a little bit more to get where they're going. So they got a lot of picks. They got a top 10 pick. I think they really need to knock it out of the park to kind of avoid a late off-season kind of setback per se.
All right, and Malway, who is your team?
I had quite a few. When you look at the draft, it's actually a lot of teams that really need to nail it the right way. I'm gonna say the Browns. I think they keep going through the same thing. Their cap is basically going to Watson. They did sign a Flacco, and they got Pickett. So they got to make the right necessary moves. They re-signed. I'm sorry. They re-signed. What's the
Garrett?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Some things going on here. So they re-signed Garrett. It just seemed like they keep going through the same thing. It's like the same scenario, and they have this opportunity. Most likely, they're projected to get Travis Hunter. No, I don't know. I just feel like they have to figure out a way because to be honest with you, when you look at the Browns, they haven't really been. They've always been. You can look at them and say, "Man, they're a good team. They might just win the division," but then it's either quarterback issue, something happens, and then they just end up being the Cleveland Browns. And so that's the team. I picked some other teams, but that's the team I'm gonna pick for right now.
Yeah. I think honestly, I think it starts at the top with the Tennessee Titans. I think the Tennessee Titans had to nail it, considering the fact that you essentially getting Cam Ward as number 1 overall pick. This will be essentially the second quarterback in Coach Callahan's regime. So he definitely has to kind of get this right because you definitely want to be in that position come this time next year looking for another quarterback. Obviously, somewhat the failed experiment of Will Levis. So to me, and then you think to yourself, you look at the success of potentially these other guys that's going to be drafted after Cam Ward. Like if Abdul Carter does his thing, Travis Hunter, and you see those guys make a difference, it's going to be kind of one of those things where Cam Ward definitely has to be the legitimate number 1 pick, and because in theory, you may think that this is somewhat of a reach because if you look at it, but he is the best quarterback in this draft class. But they have to nail this one because this is another one. I don't think Callahan could potentially survive if he's sitting here maybe 2026, 2027, draft another quarterback.
Yeah, and I think with the Titans too, I mean, this is a team that could possibly have a chance to get the number 1 overall pick again next year, just based on how things have been going for them. This isn't really the year to need a quarterback like they do. Unfortunately, that's kind of the position that they're in, and they're one bad pick away from possibly being right back in this situation next year.
Yeah, I like the Browns pick. They
Yeah.
crossed my mind, but I couldn't even think about them because I just don't even think they have the capabilities of nailing a draft. So like, I harsh maybe a little bit, but at the same time, like you said it best, Matt. Like Cleveland Browns are just gonna Cleveland Brown, like that's kind of what we come to expect. So I like that pick the most because they absolutely do need to nail it. But I kind of just crossed them off my list because I don't think they're capable.
Yeah. Oh, you
Muted.
like you muted. You muted.
Got you. Corey, right?
This was
Yeah.
awesome. Yep.
Austin. Okay, so
Yes,
Corey, I liked your pick. I was gonna pick I was gonna pick the Giants because they are on a thin line. And if they don't do well this year, they're most likely going to lose their jobs to coach and a GM because of the Saquon stuff. But then they just hadn't done anything since he'd been there. Like even when he first got there was coach drama. They just have underachieved. You know what I mean? Then quarterback issues. Like now they got Jameson and they do have Russ. So man, like from what I gathered, they said next season is going to be a better quarterback draft. So maybe try to figure out if y'all can just win out well, or you know what I mean, wild card something. You know what I mean, that they could just see a some type of promise of what they can run on for next season, because you know, I like Daniel Jones at one time, especially when he played the Washington football team. But you know, the Giants just hadn't really done anything. You know what I mean? I mean, the reason I said that is because I hadn't really seen him play, and we both live in Virginia. So when I saw him play, I seen his body frame. I seen certain things that there was a promise there. You know what I mean? They made it seem like he was the most horrible quarterback in the world. But you got to also understand that you're playing with the New York Giants, so you got to be top notch. You know what I mean? And I don't think it was fair for him to be there. Maybe, you know, in the future, you're probably going to see a better Dan Jones, whatever, you know what I'm saying, where he's at right now, or if he get a chance to actually play again. But yeah, like Corey, I liked your pick.
Yeah, and with the Giants too, I mean, their roster's not that bad, right? Like you can piece together your offensive line. This running back class is absolutely ridiculous that you can get a running back to plug in. Not that Tyrone Tracy wasn't very good. It's just if you
Right.
want more of a workhorse, he could be the guy. Now what's missing? It's just the quarterback. Like their defense is really good. You can still get some
Right.
depth added there. So of those teams in the top 5, maybe outside of the Jaguars, the Giants roster is not terrible, and it's close.
Right.
Yeah. And the good thing with the Giants, they got the flexibility where they don't necessarily, they just get whoever's the best available. If Abdul Carter's there at 3, if Travis at 3, it's one of those where they're in a good spot, because either way, both of those pieces will be great to complement what they already have. And the thing about, and that's why I like kind of what Cleveland and the Giants did by getting a quarterback. So that lets me know they're out of the quarterback business. So that's one thing too, when you look at it just from that standpoint. But yeah, those are definitely some 2 teams that definitely need to get it, because like you said, they're, you know, because Cleveland, same thing with them. The cupboard's not bearing Cleveland as well either. So it's kind of one of those where both of them got to, you know, at least kind of build on what they got, even though they're not probably more likely not going to get a quarterback. So yeah, definitely going to be definitely some interesting teams that need to get to nail this draft for sure.
Can I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
So by New York and Cleveland doing that, do you think there's a team that's going to try to trade up so they can get a player that they really want, or a QB, basically?
The only team I think that could probably maybe move up that need a quarterback is probably Pittsburgh. But other than that,
I just wanted to
know
hear you. That's
Cleveland.
all. I just wanted to
Yeah,
hear it.
yeah. I know there are team there are some teams that are calling. There's some teams that are calling Cleveland to get that number 2 pick. So I mean that's stuff. That's a possibility for sure. I mean, oh yeah. I mean, if the price is right, I think it's worth it. But I think if I'm Cleveland, I think that's, to me, my personal opinion, it would be a mistake for them to trade down. Because I mean, if you at this point, I would try to get Travis Hunter. I'm not bailing. I'm not helping somebody else out in that regard. And because like you said, if worst come to worst, we can get a quarterback next year. We can get Eli and
Right.
Peyton nephew if he comes out. We say if, because it's a big if. He may not come out, but who's to say?
Yeah, I think the most likely scenario would be the Giants trading out of 3, especially if it's Abdul Carter falling to them, just
Mhm.
because that's really the one position they don't really need. I mean, they already got Thibodeau and Brian Burns on the edge. Now, it never hurts to have an Abdul Carter, but I think if
Mhm.
Abdul Carter is on somebody's radar who's in that like 6, 7, 8 range, maybe even the Bears at 9, right? Get one more edge rusher for their defense. But I think worst case scenario for the Giants is they have to pick between Abdul Carter and someone else, because that's almost the
Right.
one position on their roster they don't really need.
Right.
And
I got you.
so I think that would be a likely scenario, but I don't know if a team like Pittsburgh can move up that far. I just they'd have to give up quite a bit, and that just doesn't seem like a Steelers type thing to do.
I know.
But if they're desperate, right? I mean, I guess if y'all want to wait for Rodgers, it could happen. But
That is horrible.
yeah, I
That
think
is
Giants
horrible.
trading out of 3 might be the most likely scenario if it falls Abdul Carter to them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely be some intrigue on that one. So, fellas, we'll go around. We'll talk about our 3 favorite prospects. Just 3 guys that you just throughout this whole process, even following college football, pretty much. Who are your 3 favorite prospects in this draft? I'm gonna go with you first, Austin. Who are your 3 favorite draft prospects in this draft class?
Yeah, so I picked no KU players just because I'm trying not to be a homer here, but it would obviously be like Kobe Bryant, Devin Neal, and Melo Dotson from Kansas. But no, I think the 2 obvious ones for me are Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, and then he's edge rusher, and then Trey Harris, the receiver from Ole Miss. Those 2 I've been pounding the table for honestly even before the end of college football. Trey Harris isn't even supposed to be that high of a pick anyway, which is blasphemy to me, especially given the receiver class. But seeing Nick Scorton before college football season started, he was supposed to be top 5, top 10 pick, easily, like a no-brainer. And I think he very well could be this year's like Jared Verse, who kind of just keeps falling down the board. And somebody at some point is just going to get a steal with him. My third one, I did 2 people just because they're the same position. It's Nick Martin and Jay Higgins, both inside linebackers. Supposed to be kind of mid-round picks. I'm a big defensive guy, and I think it all starts with your quote-unquote signal caller on defense. And Nick Martin and Jay Higgins from Oklahoma State and Iowa, I love both of them.
Mm.
I think those are going to be great round 2 to round 4 picks for whoever get them. Inside linebacker is not one of the sexy premier positions anymore. If you're really looking at defensively, it's edge and corner is where the primary is, but you get that inside linebacker, that changes everything on defense. So I like both of them. If Chiefs could find a way to get all 4 of them, I'd be hyped, but I'll settle for just 2 of them.
And what about you, Cory?
Yeah, so I am a KU homer. I do have Devin Neal as my running back. Just being able to watch him for 4 years and what he was able to do. There's a lot of down years for KU football, right? So he was kind of that light at the end of the tunnel that's kind of turned the program around, stuck it out in a day and age where it's easy to transfer and get out. He stayed all 4 years and was able to help build the foundation at KU. I think he's going to be able to come in and help an NFL team right away. And I'm not going to say he's the number 1 running back because that's stupid of me to do, but he is, I think, in that 5 to 10 range as far as like running backs. And then my second one's Brashad Smith. This is kind of a guy who we did a show earlier on in the season, like off season, where we had a guy on with us, and he kind of mentioned Brashad Smith, and I had heard of him, right, from SMU, but I didn't know enough. So then I started watching him and kind of seeing highlights and what he's able to do. He's electric. You get the ball in his hands, he's able to do really good stuff with the ball. I think his ability to catch also helps him out tremendously as far as, you know, yards after catch and just being able to be a guy who, you know, he can come in and I think he has the ability to be a 3-down back. So he's one to kind of, he's not one of those top sexy running backs that everyone keeps talking about, but he is a guy later on in the draft. And then I am going Kobe Bryant just based on, we talked the other night. He's a corner in KU. There's no one tougher in this draft than Kobe Bryant, what he's able to do. And I think the names may say it all, right? Like Kobe Bryant, you have that pressure, but we've watched him. He's a like 165, 170-pound guy. So he's not huge. And again, he's going to be a 4th or 5th round guy just based on his size alone. But his ability to tackle in the open field, his ability to bring running backs down, I think that's going to help because, you know, defensive coaches are looking for those guys who can tackle. They tackle well, especially when you're in that one-on-one situation where, hey, we got to make this stop right here, right? So I think the only thing that hurts him is 1, his size, and 2, he does bite on the double moves really bad. That's, again, coachable in the right system. So he may not be the homer I am, but I really do like where those guys are as far as what KU has to offer in this draft. And so Devin Neal, Rashad Smith, and Kobe Bryant are my 3.
Okay. All right, Mel, your top 3.
I don't have like a team as I was looking today, it was a few guys that you guys probably already know. Abdul Carter, 6'3", 251 pounds. Like he's all over the place from inside, outside. But I was looking at his highlights today. It's weird. I've never really heard of him. I know you guys probably like what? Because I was so big on, you know, Colorado and Travis Hunter. You know what I mean? That's all I really was paying attention to because I'm not a big college football guy. But man, I was just like, it's phenomenal. Like I just feel like he should get more attention than Ward and Travis Hunter. You know what I mean? Because he seemed like to me, it's almost like a steal in the draft because you could put him anywhere. You know what I mean? Inside, outside. It's crazy. And then I got Ashton Gentry. Probably well, they said all that, but he was like he had the most rushes yard in 2024. 900 more than everybody else. 49 broken tackles. Seemed like he was faster than everybody, but you know, nobody really is even talking about him. I mean, they just seem like they're talking about the same 2 guys, you know. And then my last one is Travis Hunter. I think he keeps saying he wants to play both sides. Every team seemed like they have a plan of they would do this or they want. You know, I don't know. I just feel like he was just one of those guys as I was watching it that would just seem remarkable of the things that he could do. Like sometimes I just didn't think he was going to catch the ball or he was going to make the play, and he did. And it just seemed like he just was just better than everybody else on the field. Even, you know, like I'm almost just like, why was he playing for Colorado Buffaloes? You know what I mean? It's almost like you could tell he was just on a different tier. So those are my 3.
Yeah, I know. Austin, you were saying like as far as you want to be a homer, but being a homer is encouraged on here on Couch Coach Live because
very
I
much
got a
so.
few homers myself. So of course, me being a guy in my backyard, Tyler Warren, from Penn State, by way of he went to Adler High School out here in McCainsville, Virginia, literally in my backyard here. 6'5", 256. Austin, he kind of gives me a little bit of a Travis Kelce kind of. He's a little, you know, he's the Travis Kelce of the Mid Atlantic. So it kind of gives me somewhat of a bite-sized version of kind of what your guy Travis does. I think he had a great year last year. Over 1,800 yards receiving, almost putting up like major like wide receiver type numbers. Very curious where he will land. I think he'll be one of those kind of plug and play. Like he'll be be ready to play and do his thing. And then my allegiance in college football is University of North Carolina, so I definitely got to put on to Amari Hampton, the running back out of the University of North Carolina. And Cory, I think he might fall into your lap at 20, but we'll discuss that at a later time in the program. I think he was. I think to me, obviously, a little over 1,600 yards rushing last year. Loose, effective runner. He can make you miss. I think he'll be a really good running back in this league. And then I got another tight end. He's kind of one of those where he's on the fringe with like favorite and kind of a sleeper. But I'm curious about Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor's another one tight end out of LSU. Considering the fact that he had 55 receptions, the most by any LSU tight end. When you think about wide receiver, at LSU, for him to get 55 receptions is tremendous. And obviously the pedigree. I know we talk about guys who, as far as Mason Taylor is the son of Jason Taylor. His uncle is Zach Taylor, and his aunt is Joy Taylor. So he's, as far as all that's concerned. So I definitely think he's gonna it's gonna be interesting where he's gonna land. I know a lot of people got him like in a quasi second, third. I'll be interested where he'll get drafted. I'm assuming he'll probably be a Friday night pick, and I think he'll give a team some good value.
Yeah, and I was listening to a Kansas City sports station on my drive home today, and they actually liked him in the second round for the Chiefs as like maybe a wish list item for those guys.
Ooh.
So he's kind of starting to pick up some steam as well with that tight end group, right? Like I'm sitting here thinking like, dang, add him to that offense with what, and learning for a year or two behind Travis Kelce to kind of get the layout. Obviously with his background and who he's family with, he already knows a pro locker room, right? Now it's just coming in and fitting in with their scheme and what they're doing. So I thought that was an interesting take on just listening to a Kansas City sports station, and they had him on a short list of kind of a wish list for a second rounder.
Yeah, I think the wish list would be Tyler Warren to the Chiefs in round one. Like, why can't we make this stuff happen, right? Like, let's make him the dude that falls down to 31. But no, Tyler Warren's my favorite player in the draft. I didn't want to name top heavy people or be Homer, so that's why he wasn't on there either. But he's my favorite player in this draft is Tyler Warren. I think he'll break Brock Bowers' record if he goes to the right team. As far as the rookie numbers put up by Brock Bowers, I think he breaks it as long as he doesn't go to like the Browns.
Okay. Also, if Tyler Warren is still at 32 with you guys, that's not gonna happen, because if he's at 28, I will run to Green Bay, Wisconsin myself and hand that card to Roger Goodell and say, we selected Tyler Warren. If he's at, I will beat you to a 3-pick. I will run from Richmond, Virginia to Green Bay. I will teleport to Green Bay to hand that card out to him.
Yeah, no,
sure.
I know that's
like,
right. I'm just saying,
if he do that, I'm mad at all 31 teams, right?
31 GM should be on the hot seat immediately.
I'm just saying, if we have a wish list, let's make them big wishes, right? Let's don't hope for like an end of first round dude. Let's hope for Tyler Warren. Hell, let's have Travis Hunter fall if we want to. Like him and Patty Mahomes, that's what everyone wants to see.
No lie. I mean, we're not even gonna go there. I have a receiver on my team that I felt like his first 2 years they should have been throwing to, and I said he's going to be cheap. He's going to leave our team. He's going to be cheap, and he's going to play for the damn Chiefs, and they're gonna keep winning championships, man. And everybody was looking. I said, I'm telling y'all, they got to throw him the ball. Yeah. He just got a bad attitude. That's his issue. But what receiver don't?
Well, y'all went and got a second one with kind of a similar attitude, so that could be that's gonna be fun, or not. Either way.
I'm serious. And anyway. It's
That's gonna be interesting.
On
very much
paper,
so.
it's real good looking. I mean, if you can make it work, but yeah, no, I agree.
If you had a quarterback, like, who's gonna be a quarterback? Like,
don't they got that
somebody got to
Duck
throw the
Hodges
ball.
dude, or am I a little behind on that? They still got Duck Hodges.
No, we still got Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block. That's who they signed. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Like, it don't make no sense. Oh my God. I'd rather have
Maybe
Duck.
they just want to be the Browns so bad. Anyway.
Anyway. Oh, he froze? What's going on?
Yeah, we good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Yeah, we good. Okay, I just want to make sure everybody was straight.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. So I know, and we talked about like our 3 favorite prospects. So now I want to get into a dark horse quarterback. Obviously we had 2 top ones at in this draft. Just talk about a dark horse quarterback prospect to watch. First, I'm gonna go with you first, Cory. Who is your dark horse?
Because I know who he's going to go with. I'm going to go different. I am going to go Kyle McCord, just based on, oh, well, yeah, I'm still going to stick with Kyle McCord, Syracuse quarterback. It's hard because I love Jackson Dart. But Kyle McCord, again, we're in a transfer world. I think he would have been just fine if he stayed at Ohio State, but he decided to go to Syracuse, and he still looked really well. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think he's a first-round guy. I still think he's a, late second, early third, and he's not a starter right away. But I think he's someone who, a veteran team or with a veteran quarterback, they can pick him up. He can learn a system. If he could somehow manage to land in the, with the Rams or, even with like a 49ers, a coach who knows what they're doing with an offense, I think he would be a pretty good sleeper pick, in my opinion.
Right. What about you, Austin?
I put Tyler Show, but I kind of removed him just because I've seen him climbing up some draft boards lately, so I don't know if he'll be a dark horse. The answer I ended up actually picking was Kyle McCord. So since he already said him, I'm going to go with just who I'm going to go ahead and go Jackson Dart. I'm only going to put him as a dark horse because I still think he's going to be the best quarterback out of this draft. And then in my head, I think in a perfect world, he goes to the Steelers. Just because that, no matter how you feel about the Steelers or how much they anger you, they are still one of the top organizations in football. From the top to the head coaching, like that's still a perfect place to go. I had nothing but respect for the Steelers. I think
you get the wave.
He would absolutely be the best quarterback out of this draft, especially if he goes to Pittsburgh. He's going to have the coaching, he's going to have the weapons, and he's going to have a defense that'll help him out a little bit through the rookie struggles. Yeah, I know he's kind of shot up some boards and everything, so it might not be a dark horse. He's just going to be my dark horse because I think he's going to be the best quarterback that comes out of this draft. As long as he doesn't go to the Browns, the Giants, and anything like that. But if he goes to a place like the Rams for a year, the Steelers, if the Niners take a chance on him just in case if they don't want to pay Brock Purdy, if he goes to a place like that, sky's the limit for him.
Okay.
All right. And what you got, Mal? Who's your dark horse QB?
All right. So I picked this guy, but I have a question of wondering why he's not getting the attention. Like everybody was kind of negative. So I got Will Howard. I feel like, he's 6'5", 240 pounds. Offensive MVP. He won Big 12 championship. and he won the national championship. He also overcame losing to Oregon and to Michigan, and he still won a national title. Even though he had, some people sometimes you can lead a team that is not a good team, right? But then you get a team that they paid a lot of money. It was $20 million. It was a $20 million roster, but you still got all those egos, and you still was able to go in there and dominate. Like he was, what's that? Most consecutive completion in a college football game, 13 offensive completions. My question to you is, how come he's not when he's? I know I seen that he was in the he was in college for a long time, but it seemed like he's pro ready. So, and he's won. So I don't understand why he's not a big prospect. It seemed like everybody's not jumping to get him. So my question is, why? You guys are the experts.
Yeah, I think the number one thing for him is all the intangibles are there for him. Like you said, he's a leader.
Right.
He can lead any kind of locker room. He's a smart
Right.
player. I think the biggest knock on him is his arm strength is well below average.
Really?
So it helps when you are at Ohio State and you have, a Booker you're throwing to and Smith and some of the in the
Right.
run game you have. Your arm strength isn't as important when they're 7 yards open all the time. But I think his
Right.
knock is arm strength when it's an NFL window is a lot different than college window, right? So
Right.
I think that's the knock on him is the arm strength.
Yeah, and we had a
Right.
chance to watch him because obviously he went to K-State first, so obviously KU, K-State, the
Right.
rivalry there. I know we have
Right.
friends who graduated from K-State who were very surprised at the turnaround he was able to do from his time at K-State to what he was able to
Right.
do at Ohio State. K-State runs a similar offense, not as I think it's more of like I form, certain things. He was able to run the football really well at K-State, and that's kind of what they were doing with Colin Klein was their OC at the time.
Mhm.
And I think honestly, to bounce off, I think his decision making at times, and I think you
Mhm.
saw that in the Oregon game, and then
Right.
there's countless times at K-State. Yes, he won the Big 12. Yes, and that's not saying he's not capable of doing this. It's all coachable. It's all teachable.
Mhm.
But I think the decision making, and is that someone that you're willing to give the keys to run that
Right.
offense, be your franchise, face of your franchise? I do like him as a dark horse quarterback because I think if he can put it together, his size, his
Right.
ability to be mobile and run the football, he could. Again, where I think he's going to go, I'm not sure he's going to get into a situation where the coaching is going to be there as far as getting him
Okay.
right, getting his decision making, getting his football abilities there. So again, we're kind of repetitive as far as saying situations matter, coaches matter,
Right.
and who they go to. But yeah, I love that as a dark horse QB prospect.
So one more thing. When we was in Mississippi, we was close to Mississippi State, and I went to a barbershop, and he was a Cowboy fan, but he was a Alabama fan, I think, and he was talking really reckless about Dak Prescott, and he said Dak couldn't throw that ball down. He said Dak can't throw that ball down the field. So my question is, who would you think is better? Would you think Will Howard is better or Dak Prescott?
Well, I'm gonna just throw it out there. I'm a Cowboys hater. Uh, I don't really like Dak Prescott. With that being said, I still think Dak Prescott's better than Will Howard.
Okay.
Long term, I think they could be pretty similar, but
Okay.
yeah, even with all that, I still think Dak Prescott. He's probably better than what most people say, but not as good as some of those Cowboy fans. And I know you know who I'm talking about. Like, there's those fans out there, but
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
he's probably somewhere in between of being just an all right quarterback. But I'd I'd still think he'd be better than Will Howard.
Yeah, and I'd
Okay.
still take Dak.
Okay.
But you look at what Dak was drafted into, right? Like Cowboys,
Hmm.
their ownership is ownership, right? But the coaching
Hmm.
hasn't been bad for Dallas, right? Like they go with
Hmm.
Jason Garrett, we all know that. But then he had a chance to learn behind Tony Romo, who Tony Romo is outside of Troy Aikman, probably the better Cowboys quarterback that they've had. So he had a chance to learn for that small period of time, and even like the
Hmm.
offense was built. And then they actually went out there for a little bit, and they helped him. He had the best off. They had the best offensive line, right? So he was drafted into a situation where they had the best offensive line. Then they go get CeeDee Lamb for him. They get Des Bryant there for a little bit as well. So could Will Howard be put in a situation like that? Possible. But yeah, I think Dak would still be that guy right now.
I got you. Cool. I got you.
Yeah. And I think with Will Howard, like, I think the thing with him is having Jeremiah Smith and those guys kind of mask kind of his deficiencies. Like, to me, he's like, it's like almost like he's like a good deodorant. And I think that was the thing that kind of, because I think if you don't have those type of talent and skill around him, because I know a lot of people look at him as somebody that's like really predictable. And as far as like when it's like his progression, he really don't go through his progressions. But I think something that, like you said, can be kind of cured with a offensive guru. Like, to me, he would be like a great project for a young up and rising offensive coordinator, even the offensive minded head coach. So yeah, he could go to a situation that's eerily similar to like a Dallas and be like a Dak Prescott, where if he has a good running game behind him, like I said, good offensive line, and with some good coaching, and he comes from a winning pedigree. I mean, obviously he won a national championship, and I think that's one thing too where he has his intangibles. But it just, and that's the thing about all this is like where you going, where it's so important. I think that's what makes the draft to me so intriguing, because like where these guys are gonna go and how you're gonna kind of envision how they will be coached and what have you, and what situation they will land in. So I think that's gonna be like the huge thing for Will Howard. If he can go somewhere where he can, and also have some veteran leadership as well there too. So I think that can help for sure.
Yeah, I think Will Howard's best path to success. Now, I know he's not just going to give up on it, but I think his best is to become either like a Taysom Hill or like a Logan Thomas route of becoming like a tight end. I think that's where he would, like, his success would be like come from. Now, he's going to get a chance to be a quarterback, but he is extremely athletic and really well built. That I think somewhere down the road, he's going to become just like a Taysom Hill 2.0. And that's a great career still, right? Like, it's not a knock. Taysom Hill's Swiss Army knife. So I think that's long term. I think that's what I see with Will Howard.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and my dark horse is going to be Quinn Ewers. I know people kind of like half and half with him. I still think he's still got a legitimate shot to make his make something of himself in the NFL. I just look at it as the fact that with him, I do like, his off-platform throws. He got good footwork, accurate ball, got quick release. I do like the fact that he had those road wins against Alabama and Michigan in back-to-back years. The coverage there, obviously, somewhat of a fall from grace, obviously, from those Ohio State days where he kind of went there and then went to Texas. He's another one where it's going to be interesting where he's going to go. And like, I think when we think about all these quarterbacks, they're going to be really interesting to see in the preseason. I think they'll be these the kind of guys that you're going to look forward to watching on a third Saturday in August. And you'll be like, okay, yeah, they put on the show tonight. They did their thing. And I think Quinn Ewers, and it's interesting that his comp, and that's the thing I like now with these comps, and they comped him to Sam Howell, and I was like, you know what, they kind of do, but I think Sam Howell probably got better arm strength than Quinn Ewers, in my personal opinion. Obviously, Sam Howell from UNC also had a cup of coffee with the Commanders, so I followed Sam a lot, and I'm like, you know what, that kind of that's not a bad comp. And I think that's the thing I like about how what they've done with these quarterbacks, they got realistic comps. Because I think what Will Howard is like a Blake Bortles. And I'm like, I was like, that's it. But I mean, okay, right. I'm not saying that he gonna guide a team to the AFC Championship game, but I'm like, you know what? And it's funny because you sit down and you think like, okay, it kind of makes sense. I think these comps have been very fair because we've been in a world where comps are like, okay, this kid, Quinn Ewers, oh yeah, he's gonna be, Sam Bradford or Cam Newton, you know what I'm saying? Like as far as like craziness, like, but like if like as far as just the comps, they've been fairly fair as of late. And I'm like, you know what? That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I like Quinn Ewers to the Colts. I think
But,
if he can somehow find his way to the Colts, they have a good, obviously, skill position. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, obviously Jonathan Taylor there too, and I think he would be able to go in. I'm not sure if he would be able to beat out those two others right away, but he, like you said, the preseason, I think that would be a good, like, kind of a measuring stick as far as what Quinn Ewers can do. I've been back and forth on Quinn Ewers and how I feel about what he was able to do. I think his problem was
Excuse me.
he could hang on to the football a little too long, and therefore, obviously, the sacks, the strip sacks, and again, kind of like Will Howard's, just sometimes those decision making, and it can get him in trouble. But he also has that ability to go on a road, go to Tuscaloosa and win a game, beat Alabama. So he has the big game experience as far as that goes. I think you teach him up and you coach him up a little bit and you put him in a spot. I think he could end up surprising some people, but I just personally I like him to the Colts.
He would be a sizable upgrade from the former Texas quarterback and Sam Ehlinger. So that would be kind of a nice potentially as a third string, like you said. And I think, like you said, he might have a legitimate shot to potentially maybe beat out Richardson and also Daniel Jones potentially. So it's kind of, you got three, and then obviously if you land there, you got like a guy like Shane Steichen. I think he's a young emerging coach. What it's been like his third year, I think, will be this coming up year. But yeah, he's emerging. Like if he would go to the Colts, like you said, that would be a sneaky good, and like you say, I can see a quarterback battle because obviously I think there will be somewhat of a quarterback battle, a two-way potentially. But you might, if you add Quinn to the, it could potentially be like that. He could almost be like a Russell Wilson type, where it's like we really didn't expect him to do much. They signed the quarterback, and then he kind of rose up from it and became the starter. Because the Colts definitely, with that signing of Daniel Jones, let me know it's some competition gonna happen. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Yep. So, gotta go to our non-quarterback dark horses. I'm going with you first, Cory. Who's your non-quarterback dark horse to watch?
So I had it narrowed down to two, and I think just sitting here thinking about it a little more, I'm going to go with Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green tight end. I think he has first-round talent. I don't think he's going to go first round. I like his ability and what he was able to do at Bowling Green, and his ability. I think not only can he line up on the line, but I think they can even put him out in the slot as far as what he's able to do. And again, he's not Tyler Warren, he's not Colson Loveland or some of those other guys, but he has the ability to be just as good as those guys.
All right. What you got, Austin? Who was yours?
Yeah, I have names I've said before. It's the Nick Martin and Jay Higgins. I'm a defensive guy. Give me all the defensive players. I kind of already dove into them, but another truly dark horse, I'm pretty sure his name's Deshaun Watson from Florida, the big 450-pound dude, nose tackle. Obviously, with his size and lack of pass rush, he's not going to be a very high draft pick, but it's just he's a football player, and he's bigger than Vita Vea. Obviously, probably lacks the talent, but I still think wherever he goes, he's on the roster. He makes the roster, and he has a little bit of an impact. And I think he might even be an undrafted free agent kind of guy. So I don't know if he's going to even make the draft boards, but I'm a big fan of his. if that was like Chiefs 7th-round pick, I'd run through a wall because that's 7th-round pick I'd be stoked for. But he's like 430 pounds and just throwing linemen to the side, and it's there's always going to be room for that in the NFL.
All right, who is yours, Maui?
And when I say mine, tell me what y'all think, man. You guys are the experts. Come on now. I got Mike Green from Marshalls. He has 17 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 84 tackles, and he was the Suns Belt Player of the Year. Like I said, I don't watch it much, so I was going through trying to put things together, and there was the one guy that everybody was talking about that he was the guy nobody's seen. Tell me what you guys think, man. How do you think where do y'all think he's going to go, or do y'all think that he's even going to be drafted?
Oh yeah, I do think he's going to be drafted, and it would honestly, if he's not in the first round, there's a team in the second round that's going to get a steal. He is the part. I think I had him down on my top 10 just a tad from where PFF had him. I think PFF had him at 3 or 4 or something, but I had him at like the 4 or 5 range. But he is a guy that he's going to get drafted, and if again, like I said, he has that potential where I think he could be a late first round guy. I would even look at like the Washington Commanders maybe taking a peep at him just to get some depth added to that if he's there. Yeah, and like I said, if he's not a first round guy, there's a team in the second round, early second round that's going to get a steal. And you could maybe even look at the Browns if they don't go Abdul Carter at 2 or quarterback or whatever. So yeah, I do like that non-quarterback dark horse.
Yeah, I think one of the tough ones with him is you always hear, especially from a school like him, you don't know competition wise. But one thing for me, it's hard to argue against production.
Right.
Even the level of competition he's playing is still higher than a lot of levels. So it's hard to argue with that. I actually, I've seen him in the Chiefs range a couple times. I wouldn't be upset with it. I think late first, early second round is absolutely where he's going to go. Especially just like edge rusher, defensive pass rush. That is one of the premium positions, right? So, yeah, I think the only knock on him is people they run away from just the level of competition. But for me, you have that level of production. That means you got something to work with, right? So, yeah, I like him a lot.
So just one more question. Do you feel like because of that's what's going to mess his draft capital up? It's because of you didn't really get a chance to see him in a level of competition and, things of that nature?
I think maybe a little bit. He might have been a late teen, early 20 draft pick, and he still could be. Some people, it may not even matter to some of these draft rooms for teams, right? I think it may be a little, but I think in the end, like these scouting departments for teams are so good anymore that they already have novels on these guys, right? So I think he could a little bit, but he's still going to be a very top pick.
See, that's where I don't see it hurting as much, just because I think Coach Prime says it all the time. Put the tape on, right? Like just put the tape on.
Right.
The tape doesn't lie, and I think that's just most coaches say the tape don't lie. I do think it is a deeper position group, right? And a lot of teams have somewhat kind of solidified where their depth chart is as far as the pass rushers go. So that may, kind of stump it a little bit. But I do see him being able to come in and maybe his rookie year being a third down guy. If especially when you're picking basically from 25 and up, these teams are set. Like their rosters are set. They're deep playoff teams. Their rosters are good. Now they're just going to get better because they're going to add a player with his production and what he's able to do as far as production. So he could come in and be a third down guy. And then with the rate that the speed rushers and their contracts are going up, you may not want to re-sign who you have. So now you can say, well, he's got a year under his belt. He now knows what it's like to play at this pace, this level, this speed, this competition. And they can plug him in. He could be, like a second year starter and kind of go from there. So yeah, I'm one. I think just put the film on, and I think a lot of the scouting departments that have people there, and then they see the tape, that they're good.
Okay, appreciate it. Seriously.
Yeah, I think with him, and I think with Mike Green is weird because in some mock drafts you see him high as going to Carolina at 8, and then
I've seen some
you
of
see
those.
somewhat of it like in the 8 to like 20 range. So, and also he's another guy in our backyard. He's from Williamsburg, Virginia. Like he may not be like your stereotypical edge. So I think that's another thing that might be like a lot of people. He's not like as far as in that type of mold, as far as like the length and like the mass, like when you think of his size. But I think he's like you say, he's another one where you just turn on the tape, valiant, runs valiantly, full tip, full motor. Like like you said, he will be somebody. Like I said, even though, despite that, the lack of the physicalness as far as from a height weight type standpoint, he still got heart. He's still a dog, and I think that's another thing too, where it's like he's the typical kind of like paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
Where it's like I think some people just overanalyze the little things, but like you said, watch the tape,
right.
and you can see he makes a difference, regardless of kind of how you feel. Yeah, that's the time of year. This is the type of year where this time of the year where all this type of stuff happens, where it's like these smoke screens and these innuendos and just weirdness going on with that. But it's
right.
But that's what makes the draft fun. I mean, even like little stuff like this, where guys. I think my dark horse is, and it's Jack Sawyer. He's someone like I think he would be perfect for a team that has like a championship pedigree or go to a good franchise. He's another one where you may not look at him. Okay, you see he wear number 33. You're like, who the hell is this guy? But he's always there. He's one of those ones where it's like he's like to like even I think even in that Michigan game, I was thinking to myself like, that fight and all the type of stuff at the end of the game, and I'm like, this is kind of crazy, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this kid. I mean, at first I thought it was like more like of a jackass move, but a part of me was like, oh, I actually like kind of like he could be like I can see him being a team captain on a team. Maybe not this year, but I can see a C on his chest by next year on some team. He's one of those ones where I definitely think he comes from that pedigree at Ohio State. He's someone I think he could be a good locker room presence.
Yep.
I think if a championship caliber type of team it falls into his lap, I think that'd be the best thing for him. And then
yeah, I actually think I think he's going to go to a every other year championship caliber team. Maybe I think he's going to go to the Bengals. I think he's going to be that new Sam Hubbard for them, kind of the exact mold for me, the same leader, the locker room presence, everything you just described. They no longer have that with Sam Hubbard. I think he slips right on in, kind of the local favorite, right? One everyone can get behind. So you were spot on with him. He's going to be, I don't know where he's going to go, second, third, fourth round, but wherever he goes, he's going to make the team and he's going to make an impact.
Yeah, and I was kind of disappointed. We did our top 10 the other night for that position, and I left him off for some reason. I don't know why. And I was talking to my brother about that, and I was like, go watch the playoffs with Ohio State. There was not a play that he wasn't in on. Honestly, I love him as a Steeler. He just kind of has that Steeler toughness that you're looking for in somebody, and when the Steelers draft somebody, you kind of look at him and you can look at the person and say, yeah, that's a Steelers guy. Like when they drafted Peyton Wilson last year, yeah, that's a Steeler type of pick right there. So, but I do like the Bengals as well for him. I just kind of looked at him and I was kind of like, dang, this guy would look really, really good in the black and gold.
And he could be the catalyst to turn that defense around too, for sure. That's actually like that would be a great spot for him.
Yeah, it really would. In the little the lack of transparency in what they're trying to do with their defense in Cincinnati is just mind blowing to me. I get it. You want Jamar Chase, you want T. Higgins, you want Joe Burrow, you want Gesicki, but you got Lamar Jackson in your division still, right? And then whatever the Steelers end up doing, you still have George Pickens, DK Metcalf now, and what the Steelers are doing. So, yeah, and I still like the Steelers. I still trust the Steelers defense to maybe slow the Bengals down when they need to, because the Steelers will always have that defense. Because, I mean, you see the Steelers play the Ravens. The Steelers always play the Ravens, and you're kind of like, this is the year the Ravens are just going to absolutely blow the Steelers out. And their defense still shows up in and every weekend, every Sunday. You know what's going to be. The Steelers defense is going to be. So I get what the Bengals want to do with their offense, but man, you gotta have some kind of defense.
Sure. Yep.
So as long as Lamar's healthy, the Bengals is always going to have an issue, man. It just seemed like when he's hurt, that's when the Bengals do well. It's strange, but yeah, man, it's like they had issues re-signing people. I don't know, man. It's like a pig, you know. And just because you put lipstick on it, still a pig. It's like they still the Bengals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they made it a couple years ago, but they still the Bengals though. Like, you know what I mean? And when you have a successful team that you didn't think that you was going to make it that far, then eventually you're going to have to sign those checks. You know what I mean? And they just drag their feet. You know. Anyway, my bad, Chris. Coach.
They cheap. Yeah,
They're cheap.
I told you,
Very much so.
They were selling TVs in September. They were selling like 42-inch televisions. They cheap. They're selling TVs. Like, yeah, I'm sitting here. Man, they cheap. Yep. And then the other one I had as far as a dark horse was Cam Scatterboo. I think he's another one where he kind of put everyone on notice in the college football playoffs against Texas. He's another one where I definitely think he's a great runner. I think he's going to be another one that don't fit that physical mold in a sense. But I definitely think he's going to be a tough running back. And like you said, if he goes to the right situation, I definitely think he has a legitimate shot to do some damage.
Yeah, and he's one. I'm not as high on him as some are, but that's not to say that's just me. I do think I think the biggest thing I want to see out of him is the NFL defenses and linebackers, D-line, safeties. I mean, these are a lot different than what you're facing in college, right? So I think while his breaking attack, the ability to break tackles and what he's able to do, I still want to see him do it in a pro game. And I think he'll be fine. I'm just not quite sold on him just yet. But again, that's one that I will watch in the preseason just to kind of see. And I want to see where he lands first. I don't think he's going to be a first-round guy, but I do think early second round-ish, somewhere in there. I think with this being such a deep class, that kind of hurts his ability to maybe squeeze in to that first round. But yeah, I think of him as like a Doug Martin type guy as far as like his ability to, Doug was able to break the tackles and stuff. So I just need to see a little bit more out of Cam in the NFL before I jump on that bandwagon.
Sure. So we gotta talk a little Travis Hunter. So, fellas, we'll go around the horn. What is the best spot for Travis Hunter? Go with you first, Austin. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Kansas City. If we're gonna be realistic for a little bit, he should be the number one overall pick. He's a unicorn. He's gonna be one of the best players that's come out of the draft, non-quarterback wise, for a while. He probably won't be number one. So with that, I still think if he ends up on the Patriots somehow, that would be where I would like him to go. They're kind of turning the corner. Finally, they got a good head coach in there. Got their quarterback. I'm already going to chalk him up to a dub because I love Drake May. I think just situational with what they're building, with what they have. Mike Vrabel, defensive-minded coach, strong personality. They'll know how to handle Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter don't fall to 31 and with the Chiefs, I'd like to see him go to the Patriots at 4.
Yeah, Drake May is a dog.
I love Drake May.
He's a little
I
step
do
up
too.
from Mitch Trubisky.
Hey, that's my nephew too. They my guys. I love my USC quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, and I like him. I want to go on record and saying Travis Hunter should be the number 1 overall pick. I loved watching him. He's, we had a chance. Obviously, they played KU, and he did everything on defense and offense. So again, he should be the number 1 overall pick. I think there's no way the Browns let him go. They shouldn't. But again, like we've said at the beginning of the episode, it's the Browns. So
Man, I don't want to see him there.
But I think Travis Hunter goes to the Browns. He's going to be able to. I think they let him play both sides. I think he is going to be a corner, and I think he's going to be the receiver. And I think he makes an impact on both sides of the ball right away.
What you got, Maui?
Man, I got so many. So I appreciate you guys. It's like, when I look at Travis Hunter, and I thought it was a joke. It's the first thing is just his personality, and I feel like he's a great franchise and corporate guy. Like when the gentleman that hit him and he broke his ribs, and that gentleman was getting talks, like he was getting crazy things on Twitter, this and that. They did a video together where he was like, man, we're just playing football. You guys don't need to do that. I think if I had a franchise, that's one thing that you would want, that he would be able to be a great face for the franchise, charity work, this and that. Now let's go ahead and go to the stuff he does on the field. And it's like, man, I'm gonna be honest, it's like early Jordan. You know what I mean? When Jordan had the earring and his tongue out, it was just these things that you saw, like, man, I've never seen this before. And me, I'm 46, and still, like, I'm sitting here, got to be at work at 6 a.m, and I'm up at 3 a.m. watching the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm watching YouTube and all these podcasts. Is really like, man, do you know I was up at 3 a.m. watching a college, the Colorado Buffalo? You know what I mean? And just that alone, from, like, I always talk about marketing and business. Like, you only get that so often, and like, I'm gonna tell you, even though I think the Buffalo's team was an illusion they were trying to make us believe, you really got a chance to see, like, somebody that was so extraordinary. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I put the Pats. I did put Cleveland, but I also have the Steelers because he could get there. I really think Las Vegas. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like somewhere that's electric. They got a new coach now. They don't have a quarterback, but I just feel like it would be great for him, because I still think they would let him play both sides, and it give you a lot of people a chance to watch them. Even New York, you know what I mean? I think Russ would figure out a way. Even New York, there's so many places he can go, and then we're going to still watch, and he's still going to be great. I do have the Pats down, but I'm really going to, since you picked the Pats, I'm going to pick the Raiders.
As a Broncos fan, I really hope that he doesn't fall to the Raiders.
I was going to put the Broncos. I was going to put the Broncos too.
Hey,
but yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see him in Cleveland. Like, that's all.
I don't want to see him in Cleveland either. I don't either.
I don't think they're going to be able to capitalize off of him, right? Like,
I'm with you. With you.
As a baseball fan, as a football fan, I just want to be able to watch Travis Hunter be Travis Hunter, and I don't think you can do that in Cleveland. I think New York, there's a chance for him there for sure. If he goes to Cleveland, I'm afraid of what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to be able to
Me too.
Travis Hunter. Whatever happens, please not there.
But seriously.
And I'm gonna vehemently disagree with you, Austin, on that. I think Cleveland is a perfect spot for him for a multitude of reasons. I think obviously on both sides of the ball, if he plays on both sides of the ball, you got a great coordinator in Jim Schwartz. I think teaming him with Denzel Ward would be a great combination there with that. And then even offensively, what they can do, you got Jerry Jeudy there as a wide receiver. And then I want to see what Tommy Reese can do. Tommy Reese is their offensive coordinator. I definitely think he will inject essentially this franchise. He's another one where I think, like we said, he's the plug and play guy. He'll revitalize his franchise. And to me, I think he is the perfect mold for them. I think especially for Cleveland fans, this will be their modern day type of folk like hero in Cleveland. I'm not trying to say like the late Jim Brown or that type of nature, but something similar, but on a really smaller scale. Well, I definitely think he could be like a Cleveland legend, like a Bernie Kosar, or or in that type of realm. He'll be maybe this next generation of a Bernie Kosar, where he's like this legend, and he can go to Cleveland and essentially he can paint the town red. Well, he can paint the town brown, but I love it, and I think the fact that because he got the organization, he got great coaches, Kevin Stefanski, as we talked about it, and then obviously on both ends, I think he got two great coordinators, especially in Jim Schwartz, and I think Tommy Reese is kind of emerging. He's getting there, so I think this will be a perfect marriage. Travis Hunter in Cleveland for sure.
I think for the locker room in the city, 100% would be. It's what they need after the Deshaun Watson stuff, right? Like, you need a bounce back. The basically complete opposite. My only thing is that's where good players go to die. That's what I don't want to have happen. Not with Travis Hunter. That's the only. Everything you said, I do agree. It would be good for them, the city, the fans, everyone. I don't want him to be another Cleveland casualty. That's all. I don't want that to happen.
I'm so sorry. I almost choked. He said, and you're right. It just was funny that out of every name that's a Cleveland Brown, you picked Bernie Kosar. Oh my God. That is hilarious. I mean, you're right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making fun of you, but it's just a simple fact. I was like, I'm so sorry. I said Bernie. I said, oh, Bernie Kosar. But yeah. I'm sorry. He's a legend. Oh my God. My cousin, she did his massage for him. She said he had 81 back surgeries.
Damn.
Crazy. It's Bernie Kosar, Webster Slaughter.
He's a legend. Like people. Yeah, because people was getting ready to get rid of. They was ready to fire Bill Belichick when he released him. He was Bill Belichick was like almost like a dead man walking in Cleveland.
Oh my God! Burn it!
To this day,
AFC Championship, the Super Bowl. burn it! The Super Bowl. I remember that, man. Oh, just to let you guys know, I'm from Akron, Ohio. So that is hilarious, man. Oh man, Bernie Kosar, that's some memories.
Yeah. And he'll fit in that mold instantly. He'll be a cold hero in Cleveland.
The first Jim Kelly. Almost. Pretty much, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's hilarious.
Because he's, obviously he beloved in Western New York for sure, and he's definitely loved in Ohio. Bernie.
But my issue is, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't I just think his personality would not fit, even though he's a great young man and it's this and that. I just don't feel like his playful personality would do well in Cleveland. It's Cleveland is a very hard, type of city. It's a lot of, it's different. It's not as, it's like Pittsburgh is not as bad as Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like Pittsburgh, I think because, I don't know, it's just a little different. Like if he was, that's why Baker Mayfield did so well there. You know what I mean? At first anyway. But I just don't know. That's why I didn't say I'm Cleveland, because I'm just thinking, excuse me, marketing wise, I could see New York. You know what I'm saying? I could see Boston. I could see New England. And I said the Raiders because it's Vegas. and I think that just fits him a little bit better. Cleveland, I think, is a little too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think he's got the mental fortitude to handle it more so than
I do
probably
too.
any of the prospects. Because, like, to me, like, that's the thing with him where, like you said, he does have that jovial personality, but he's business too when it comes to football.
Right.
And I like I said,
Right.
when it comes to like the comparison to him and like being like a cult like hero, because I think his work ethic kind of embodies the city, in my
Right.
personal opinion.
I
So a
got you.
lot of them
I got
guys are
you.
going to relate. So he's that steel toe boot, punch the clock, lunch pail, and a thermos, and he gonna
I
go
got
to
you.
work.
I got you.
But yeah, but I mean, we shall see. So we gotta talk
Right.
about his teammate in Shedeur Sanders. I think this is gonna be really the most interesting one of them all. What is the best spot for Shedeur Sanders? I'm gonna go with you first, Cory. I'm gonna go with you. Who you got? What's the ideal spot for him?
Yeah, so I was thinking the Raiders first, but then I
Mm-hmm.
started thinking it more, and then kind of starting to see a little more. I like the Saints. I think the Saints will take him, and I think he talked about being a program builder, right? Like he turned the program around at Jackson State, comes to Colorado. They did turn it around, whether you think they did or not. What they were able to do in Boulder was phenomenal.
Right. Right.
So I think he would be perfect for the Saints and being able to, be that guy that maybe gets them back on track. They already have contract issues going on as far as money goes, but you pair him up with like Alvin Kamara and some of those other guys that they're able to have. You try to piece together and keep the defense somewhat competitive. So I like him. I like him to the Saints.
All right, you got Austin.
Yeah, I'm not as big on Shedeur Sanders as most, or even as I was Travis Hunter. I think an ideal spot for him would be to like the Rams or Niners, somewhere with very quarterback friendly system, coaches, and even a place he can sit for just a minute, just to get the speed down. But I'd like to see him go to a place with Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, or kind of one of the new young up and coming offensive coordinators. Um, I think that's his best path for success. Um, he's one of those I'm impartial on, right? He's hard for me to get a gauge on, but I'd feel comfortable with him going to one of those teams to just learn from a Stafford, McVay, Shanahan, Purdy. I think that would do him a world of good, just to see that for a little bit before stepping right in.
All right, what you got, Mel?
Can I have the Saints. I even put down Denver, but I'm gonna say the Saints. I think so I wrote down a couple, so I see what everybody said. Actually, Austin, I have a question.
Okay.
Why before I make my choice, why aren't you sold on him?
It's one of those where I think it's a little more of the playing style I've seen.
Okay.
Like he, even in college, he holds it a little too long, tries to make too many plays. Again, that's kind of where the quarterback position is heading anyway, right? Kind of the ability for the extra plays. But at the same time, he seemed like a pretty good quarterback. Just quarterback is the one position that I care about your competition you've played. And like it or not, the Big 12 is not a very hard league, just plain and simple.
Okay.
So it's not to say that I don't think he could be good. It's just from what I've seen in college, it hasn't sold me on it yet. but he has, I mean, a foundation. He obviously, we mentioned it with Mason Taylor. He obviously comes from a strong line. He knows what the world is.
Right.
Athletic ability, arm talent. I'm just not sold on the level of competition, which again, we could probably list 100 quarterbacks that have come from super small schools or lack of competition that have been good. That's just what prevents me from being sold on them.
So okay, one more. I'm gonna say this. I think he's good. I don't think he's as good as they're trying to make, because I felt like, being a quarterback, even if you know that your line is not great, I think you still should be able to find a way to make the defense respect you. And I felt like sometimes, and I talked about it because we had a quarterback that was on here, and I was wanted to talk about the feet. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like he was drawing back too far, and if he goes like to the right, it was very easy for the edge rusher to rush in. You know what I mean? Where I was like, if he step in more, I just think his pocket presence at times when he knew his line wasn't that good, it bothered me. Then but at the same time, you don't know if they was doing that so he can get numerous hits, so he can, his body can get used. I don't know, but that stuff bothered me about that. I just felt like and me being a Steeler, not a 1970 Steeler, but like an early 2000, and Ben Roethlisberger, really watching that team and how he used to get hit a lot. And he was a big guy, but how we sometimes didn't have the best lines, and he will manipulate situations that he can have success. So that's the stuff that bothered me. But I'm just going to pull it out that I'm going to say the Steelers. The reason I'm saying it, if you pay attention to the NFL right now, and if you're a Chiefs fan, you understand is you have Andy Reid. I think it's very important for a head coach to have a great relationship with your quarterback. And I felt like Tomlin has never had that. Pickett came in, but it just wasn't the same. It was more or less the offensive coordinator. It just didn't seem like, if I look at all the teams that seem like they're having success right now, it's a lot of new coaches, or it's a lot of coaches drafting these quarterbacks, and they have a certain type of relationship. I know Tomlin's a defensive guy, but I just felt like he's never had his quarterback. You know what I mean? And I just felt like I'm waiting for him to have his own. That's why I wanted Justin Fields to stay, because I was like, okay, now he can have a relationship with a quarterback that really hadn't had that much success before. So I'm saying the Steelers.
I think ideally, if it was a perfect world, I would have San Francisco. Just the simple fact of, like I said, the uncertainty with Brock Purdy. But even though they did sign Michael McCorkle-Jones, so I don't think that's going to really be plausible for them to go and get it at 11. But I think but in all honesty, I think it's going to be Saints. I think the Saints is probably the best for him for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the stability. Obviously, having the GM Mickey Loomis, who he's been with the organization as long as Shedeur was born. He was there before. He was a part of the organization before Shedeur was even born. So that shows you that they have somewhat of a stability there. Now you bring in like a Kellen Moore as the head coach. So I'm definitely going to be interested of how his first year would be and link it up with that. And then, like you said, the program builder. This could be the quarterback, and he can establish an identity for the Saints in the post Drew Brees era for this team. And like you said, the cupboard's not bare there too. They got great guys. Like I say, I know you talked about Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. They got some playmakers on this New Orleans Saints team. So the cupboard's not bare. And like you said, and they would be smart for them to get a quarterback at this spot because of the money issues, where you can get a guy, a rookie quarterback, and kind of clean up all this mess. And I still think even having a mentor like a Derek Carr would be great for Shedeur Sanders. And that's one thing too, where because people laughed at me last year when I was talking about how Marcus Mariota was going to be such a valuable help to Jaden Daniels, which I still say that and the jokes and everybody else. But I think especially a guy like a Shedeur Sanders need to have some type of a veteran type presence like that in a Derek Carr. And I think Derek Carr is one of the most stand-up guys in the National Football League. So to me, to have him as like a mentor, somebody that you can, you go to the facility with every day, you can talk to him, every day he could be his sponge, and Shedeur is that kind of guy that's really coachable, and I definitely think he can learn a lot from a guy like I can say Derek Carr, Derek Carr. Yeah, I keep on getting David and Derek confused. I don't know. I chose my age, but for Derek Carr.
I think in a perfect world, I don't know if Sanders will fall this far, but I think if the Browns could get Travis Hunter at 2 and either trade back into the late first or early second and get Sanders and kind of pair them up, then I think that goes back to you guys talking about the Browns nailing the draft. Again, I don't want to see Travis Hunter in Cleveland because I'm afraid of what'll happen. But you get his boy there with him, and I might be singing a different tune. But I think in a perfect world, that's how that draft would fall for them.
Yeah.
Can the Raiders do it? Don't they have a lot of picks and stuff?
I don't think you think Travis could even get to them at 7.
I mean, I just was throwing it out there. I was just throwing it out there.
They do have picks.
They do, and I'm not sure
they got picks.
Yeah, and I think if it came down to a bidding war as far as trades go, I don't think they have enough in the tank as some of these other teams may have. But I mean, anything's possible as far as, that's what makes the draft so fun is you just don't know what's going to be the wild card, right? Like who's going to be that wild card team that may be willing to give up a first round this year and a first round next year. Because I think that's what you're going to have to end up doing if you're moving into that top 3, top 4 area. You could think of like maybe the Jaguars sitting there. They may be able to, they have pieces already. So they may say, hey, we're not too concerned by, the depth that we need. We can be aggressive. We have a new head coach, new GM. Maybe they're trying to make a statement right away. They can maybe trade up to get Travis Hunter. But I'm not. Maybe the Raiders. I just don't know if they have I just don't know if they have the ammunition to make that move.
I'll be real with you. They don't. It's to a point. Their assets gonna be outside of this team. They would have to give up Wayne Newton, MGM, everything to move up to Cleveland. So there's no way at this point because unless you give up, and I know they're not gonna give up. What's his face? The England.
Matt Crosby.
God, I can't believe I didn't.
What about Cash? What do they give Cash?
And they not.
What if they get?
Ooh, Johnny Cash. I mean, not Johnny Cash. She's talking about.
They get picks and some cash, right. Because as much cap space, a much cap. Hey, we'll take Deshaun's some of his cap away. Are you serious?
They might answer the phone at that one though.
Yeah, they might. I'm
serious. I'm serious,
he
man.
Would definitely he honestly he would fit in every 32 teams if we sitting and really being honest. All 30 teams would for sure would need his type of services. But that's the thing where even if you would do like you say, if Cleveland can get it to, but then trade back up, which that's another thing where they're gonna have to give up some 2026, and and if they do that, that's where I'm a little leery about that too, because especially you have what we deem now. We sitting here April 22nd and looking at the 2026 class, like it's pretty robust, and you think to yourself, you're gonna have to give up a 2026 first round to move to move back in the first round, or unless you got some, or you're gonna some assets that's just out of this world.
Yeah, I do think it could only happen if Sanders has that like Will Levis type slide, Aaron Rodgers type slide, where if he does start falling into the 20s, so the Browns really only have to move up like 10 picks. Because I don't think they can trade back up into the teens and everything. Like those are jumps But I think if Sanders has a slide and kind of gets into the 20s, I think that's when you could start thinking about it being a possibility.
And it's a
I got a question.
possibility because
My
it's,
bad.
yeah, I got
My bad. Go ahead.
It
Go
is
ahead.
a big possibility because it's kind of remind me like a kind of 05, 2013, where, from 1 to 25, there was no quarterbacks pick. And I think, what was it? Because EJ Manuel got drafted and then Geno got drafted in the second round.
Yep.
This somewhat has the makings, and Shedeur Sanders could potentially have a Brady Quinn type situation.
Mhm.
Shout out to my birthday twin, and Brady Quinn, but yeah, he can have that for
This
sure.
is true. I was
Yeah.
even looking at Miami, and I was like, because some of the some of the guys that watch the show that actually as coaches, I'm friends. He's a big Dolphins fan, and they're so upset with Tua. But I looked and I said, "Damn, what does his contract look like?" And then they just gave him the extension last year. I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, shit."
Shedeur would be nasty in that offense, though. Let's be real. Sanders would be nasty in that offense.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I said. Young guy too, and I was like, I was like, why would? Yeah, they fought Tua all that time, and then they went ahead and gave him the extension, and I'm like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know, right? So we'll close out the show tonight with putting on our GM hats tonight. So we will conduct our picks for our prospective teams, and we'll do it by the draft order. So what we'll do, we will start off. Let's see. All right, so we'll start with the 20th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, and it will not be our pseudo without this here.
Yes.
So, Cory, you are on the. Mhm.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
So, Cory, you are on the clock with the 20th pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Your Denver Broncos will select.
Yeah, I know I've been seeing a bunch of Amari and Hampton stuff, but I'm going D-line. I'm going Walter Nolan, D lineman out of Ole Miss. And my scenario is they take D-line here, and then in their second round, that's when they go running back. So I'm going Walter Nolan, defensive lineman, Ole Miss.
All right. All right. So the following pick here is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the number 21st pick, and we'll do the chime real quick. Now you're on the clock for the 21st pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Your Pittsburgh Steelers select.
We're going to select Colorado Buffalo's QB Shedeur Sanders.
All right.
For the 21st pick.
All right. All right. So with the 29th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Washington Commanders select Trevion Henderson, running back, Ohio State, by way of Hopewell High School.
Geniuses.
We'll try, and I think he's one of those where, especially considering the fact when you have a guy that's is really unselfish, a great runner. You just look at just his intangibles. And it's crazy thing, he hasn't fumbled in 3 years, which is especially considering the fact a team that lost by 32 points in the NFC Championship game, and to have all those multiple turnovers, and for having a guy like that on your team potentially is there. Yeah. He has great build-up speed, very twitchy lateral movement. He can shake off some tackles. I think he'll be a great addition to this team. He comes from Ohio State, a championship type culture, and obviously with Washington building a championship level type of culture. I definitely think he'll fit the bill, and he would be a tremendous addition. And of course, not too far from home, so I definitely think that could be kind of one of those good things for him. So we will round out our if I was GM segment with the Kansas City Chiefs, which I wish we would have played in last Super Bowl, but hey, we'll digress about that point. So we'll put you guys on the clock momentarily. If this thing works for me, there we go. All right. So with the 31st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nick Scorton, edge rusher from Texas A&M. I'm not on the bandwagon. The Chiefs need an offensive tackle round one, so I'm gonna go D line where I think they need the most help. I was gonna say Michigan tight end. I don't know if he's gonna be on the board still. So with kind of the board being bare at this point, I think just getting a really high floor, high ceiling edge rusher from Texas A&M is where the Chiefs will go.
All right, perfect. All right, so that rounds out our Couch Coach Live 2025 NFL Draft preview. So, fellas, before we head on out, social media and any final words before we head on out. I'm gonna go with you first, Austin. What you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for having us on here. Always a blast. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Some really good topics. I'm glad you're a Steelers fan because it could be worse, right? So once you said I saw the Yankees fan. I saw the Yankees hat, so that made me nervous for a second. But you rebounded with Steelers. So I just want to say thanks for having us.
Right.
It's always a blast, and then I'll let Cory finish it off with what he has to say and our socials.
Yeah, so our socials on Instagram we're at Shovick Sports, and then we're also on X at Shovick Sports, and then our YouTube page also at Shovick Sports. We do have a Facebook page, but I keep forgetting about Facebook and Facebook page, but we are on Instagram, X, and YouTube, and kind of bounce off what he said. It is nice coming on other people's shows and kind of seeing a different perspective and how the layouts are, and this was well thought out. So kudos to you, Coach, and being able to put together real well-rounded, topics and being able to keep it on track and go in order. So kudos to you. This has been more than we could have asked for as far as wanting to go on shows. So again, this is one of the better ones that we've had a chance to have you on our show, which is one of our better shows. So and to repay the favor and have us on yours, man, it's truly, I can't thank you enough for that.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Same here, bro. Really appreciate it. Seriously. Me? All right. Deshaun Morgan. Deshaun Morgan Instagram. DT Morgan 78 Instagram, Deshaun Morgan Facebook. Gentlemen, it really was a pleasure. Like, I have knowledge in a lot of different things, but it's certain things that catch my eye and I put it together, and then I like to ask you guys your perspective of it. Also, it's really hard for me not to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan because I really like Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Like, I really, really like Andy Reid, especially how he backed, Michael Vick. You can't not. I mean, people, they have to pick Patrick Mahomes because, you know what I mean? Why they don't like the Chiefs. But you can't get mad. You cannot not like Kelsey. You know what I mean? They always want to pick Mahomes, but you can't even do that because he's a GOAT. You know what I mean? He really, really is. You know what I'm saying? He's changed how football is, but you cannot. There's nothing about Andy Reid nobody can say, anyone can say negative about, So it was a pleasure, man. Like, you guys are very knowledgeable. Definitely want to subscribe to your stuff, and hopefully, man, when we get ready for next season, that you guys can be on. What is it? The football? What do you call it, Coach? when we talk about the different divisions and how we gonna think the season's gonna be?
Yeah, we just call it pretty much the NFL preview, and we just preview by divisions.
Yeah,
because we're still
yeah.
trying to iron out
Yeah.
kind of what I'm gonna do for the preview. So yeah, we would definitely.
Yeah, he always had something. He always had something creative.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, great show, fellas. Yeah. So, pretty much social media: Facebook, Twitter, X, Couch Coach Live, website couchcoachlive.com, and we'll catch you guys on our next episode. Once again, definitely appreciate you guys, Austin and Cory, for coming on, and catch you guys next week. And we're out.
You're welcome.